In this section, we're going to be going over how to pass lead and whether to bullet pass or lob. I know that's kind of a common question that I get, and again, from the several lab sessions that I've done, is this is a topic that comes up fairly frequently. So, did want to cover this. So, when you're pass leading, you usually want to pass lead at 3 or 9 o'clock, depending on which sideline you're throwing to. Again, that's the general rule of thumb, is 3 or 9 o'clock. So again, say that we're throwing a corner out. Again, we want to throw this corner out away, kind of down and away from the deep blue. So yeah, this one I would say I threw. Yeah, I did throw that at like 9 to 10 o'clock. I would say I threw that because again, we know that this deep blue, the streak's gonna run him off because again, we're utilizing that pull route that we learned about. But he is gonna pull off a little bit, so you don't want to pass lead up into this guy. So that's why you want to throw it like kind of down and away. So I would say, yeah, I threw this one at like 9 o'clock. Threw that at 9 o'clock, 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock. That's when you want to be throwing these type of passes. And again, this is something I would work on practice mode before going into a game. Is just knowing how zones are going to react and how you got to pass lead. So again, I know here that he's going to turn around. So pass lead this at 9 or 10. Now let's say we're throwing something down the seam. Again, like we learned about earlier in the course, to be cover too deep, we like to utilize, we like to attack it deep. So, and we also know that the responsibility of that free safety is to run deep to the outside first. Again, the deep pass responsibility is the sideline. So we want to pass lead away from that defender because we know he's running towards the sideline. So again, I'm going to pass lead this. It's about 2 to 3 o'clock right there. 2 to 3 o'clock is always going to be kind of the rule of thumb. Again, it just depends on who you want to throw the ball away from. And again, we want to throw the ball away from this free safety here. Because the field, the spot we want to attack again is this deep middle. And we learned that earlier. We want to attack this deep middle, so we want to lead this over the middle, away from the free safety. And again, that's going to be at 2 to 3 o'clock here, with a bullet pass. Again, we don't want to lob this because it could be dangerous. This strong safety could recover, so I think it's better to, bullet pass here just to be safe, just to make sure that the safety doesn't recover. And again, from knowing that the free safety wants to go outside first, again, we pass it away from him, down the sweet spot where the deep middle is weak for his cover 2. Now let's do it on like a crossing route. On slants and stuff, I think you can usually throw those normally. It's usually on the deeper passes really that we gotta utilize the. You gotta have your pass leads down. It's not as essential on underneath passes like a drag or a slant. As long as you're pass leading it out in front of them, that's really all. I've noticed it really from these coaching sessions is people have trouble on these deeper passes on when to pass lead. So again, there, I threw that one at about 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock on the left analog. Because, again, we know that, this guy could potentially turn around a little bit, and we had this defender underneath who was kind of a threat. So I didn't want to lead this at 3 o'clock, because, he could it could potentially get picked here. Probably not because it's a linebacker, but just to be safe, again, you gotta kind of identify what's the open spot of the field here. And the open spot of the field here was like this sideline right here. So again, that's where we're trying to get it. Again, the general rule of thumb is, either 9 or 3 o'clock. 2 to 3 o'clock, 9 to 10 o'clock. Again, here we threw it out more at 2 o'clock because this is kind of where the safe spot is, on the sideline, away from the defenders. Again, we're throwing it away from these guys here. So again, we want to throw this at 2 or 3 o'clock. And again, this is something I'll tell you right now. You can't just watch the video and do this right away. Usually, this will take practice. So whether you want to do it in a practice mode or in a game, I would get several repetitions with this before you really start looking in the route combinations and other things like that. Because if you're unable to pass it correctly, it's going to be really tough to complete open passes. So that is an important fundamental to master first. Now, really, I know people always ask too, when should I be bullet passing? When should I be lobbing the ball? So again, a good example here is usually on streaks to the outside. So again, the reason why we bullet pass is if there's other players in the area and we're worried about lobbing it because the defender can recover, then we're gonna go with the bullet pass. But if the guy's on an island by himself, usually I want to lob it away from that defender. Here, I'll try to do that again. Let me not blitz here. But usually, first man coverage is usually when I will utilize lob. When it's man coverage on an island, put these guys on spies. So usually, if someone man presses and you have, let's check the speed advantage. Oh, it's not letting me check the coaching stick today. Okay. But usually, you can check the coaching stick, which is like right trigger and down on the right analog. I don't know if it's because, I think it might be because I'm in practice mode, but I can't see because usually it'll show the speed difference between the receiver and the cornerback. And again, it's right trigger and down on the right analog, but again, I think it's because I'm in practice mode here. Yeah, so I can't do it in practice mode, but see, like right here, there's no need to bullet pass it. We just want to get it away from that single defender. Again, we're lobbing it because there's no one else to worry about in the area, so we can lob it away from this defender and let it be a touchdown. Whereas if we bullet pass it there, the guy can kind of catch up. But again, no one around him, lob it. If there's some traffic, if there's another defender in the area, that's when we're gonna look to bullet. Like say right here, again, we know that this outside fade, like that we learned earlier, is gonna be open versus cover 2 in this game, but it's gonna be kind of risky to lob it. It worked out there because, again, I guess that safety isn't elite, but if we have like an elite player right here, I guess I could put Alexander here. Again, it's gonna be, this is something that you can kind of recover to if you're the DB. So it's a lot safer when there's traffic or, again, that extra defender in the area, just to kind of hit him with that bullet pass. And I'll put Alexander there just for the example. Again, especially if you're playing a mode like Mutt too, and Mutt when they have, especially when they have all these 99 speed defenders, you're usually not going to be lobbing it too much, again, unless if it's like you're lobbing up a streak. So, again, let me put him like right here. And again, see, an elite defender, he's going to react to that. So in those cases where, again, you see the help. It's not just one guy. Again, you want to tend to use a bullet pass. And let me do the same thing as last time. So, and again, Alexander could still get there, but it's gonna be a lot tougher now that we bullet it. So again, now with the bullet pass, the ball is going to be getting there much quickly than on a lob pass, so it's going to be really hard for the free safety to recover. So we want to utilize the bullet pass in these situations. So again, when there's extra help, more than one defender in the area, you usually want to go with the bullet pass. But again, if it's just a guy's on an island and you want to lob it away from the guy, then again, the lob is usually the best option.